What is going on, guys? Chris from Out West with Chris, and today we're going to be talking about something that I really like, some things that I really like, and those are knives. We're going to be talking about this knife and several others. Today we're going to dive in and we're going to chat about my 5 favorite folders for under 50 bucks. So, hope you guys enjoy it. 5 favorite folders under 50 bucks. Say that fast 10 times. Let's get after it. Alright, so here are the 5 knives. Take a quick look. We're going to dive in individually in just a moment. 2 knives from CRKT, 2 knives from Kershaw, and 1 Byrd. So let's go ahead and dive in. We're going to talk about how much each one of these costs, but these are my 5 favorite knives under 50 bucks. Let's go ahead and chat about them. And we're going to start with this one. So this is the Kershaw Asset. Quick note about this knife, it is under $50, but you can no longer find it. It is not in production anymore. It cost around $22 when you could find it. You might be able to find this somewhere. Maybe eBay, some knife outlets, but for the most part it is an out of production knife. It is the Kershaw 1930, the Asset. It's pretty cool though. I actually was given this as a gift by my dad. His thought behind it was, I think this would be a great fishing knife. You know, solid knife to go into your tackle box and whatnot. Pretty wide handle, textured grip right here. The scales are glass-filled nylon, nothing fancy there, but really a pretty good handle on it, and that was what he was thinking as far as it being great for fishing. The textured grip, if it's wet, it's going to stick in your hand. You're going to have really good hold on it. With most production knives, you know, the blade metal, the steel, isn't anything too fancy. It is 8CR13 MOV stainless. It is a liner lock, as you can see right there, and it has a speed safe assisted opening that Kershaw is pretty well known for. The pocket clip is adjustable. Okay, adjustable pocket clip. Some of you all will really appreciate that. The blade is a clip point and it has a hollow grind on it, kind of a bead blast finish. Like I said before, the steel, nothing too fancy. There's nothing really fancy about this knife, but that's kind of the thing with this list. These knives aren't anything super serious. Like the hardcore collector's not gonna really get super excited about my little list of 5 knives, but these are great knives to go ahead and get to give as a gift to use on a daily basis. If you lose a $22 knife, you know what, no real big sweat, right? You lose a $250 knife and you'll be sweating a little bit. So let's move on to the next knife in our list. Let's put the Kershaw Asset aside. We're gonna go to another Kershaw knife though. And this one right here is the Kershaw Canonian designed Leek. And this is a knife I have a lot of familiarity with. I've used this knife a ton. It's the Kershaw 1660. This knife, the MSRP on some of the models, and one thing about this knife is you can get this, basically this knife in a ton of different formations, different colored handles. You can get serrated. I have this one as a plain edge. I really like this knife. I like this design, and this is one of the most popular knives that's really out there for folders like this. One of the most popular assisted opening knives around. Lots of kind of interesting features on it. It does have the assisted opening, like I mentioned before, which you can either deploy the blade with this flipper right here, or it has an ambidextrous thumb stud, and you can just pop it open with the thumb stud as well. It does have a adjustable pocket clip, and the pocket clip sometimes on certain knives, production run knives, you know, the pocket clips don't always stand up. I have bent a few from time to time. This one I've never had an issue with. Never been a problem. The knife is a frame lock, so the locking mechanism is part of the frame itself. As you can see, locks up right there. I've never had too many issues with lockup. I've never had really any issues with like blade sway, like that being loose right there. I've gifted several of these. One thing that you do need to be aware of is that this tip point, it actually, I've seen several, and I have several friends who have chipped that off, that little tip point. So let's talk a little bit about specs, and the specs will vary a little bit depending on which model or which type you get. The handle is 410 stainless steel. Like I said, it has a frame lock built in. The blade itself is a 14C28N. It's a 3-inch long blade. This blade has stayed pretty darn sharp. It's kind of a Wharncliffe design, you know, with that tip that dives down a little bit. It's a kin onion design. It's made in the USA, which is kind of awesome. I think this might be the only knife on our list that is made in the USA, which it's pretty rare to find a production knife like the Kershaw kin onion Leek for under $50 that's made in the USA. One thing that I kind of like about it, I kind of don't, is it has a locking mechanism right here. You slide that, this blade is not going to deploy. Sometimes that little thing will trip in your pocket. You'll pull your knife out and be like, okay, why can't I open my damn knife? Well, it's because that is in the locked position. A couple other nice little features that kind of go unnoticed is you got some jimping up here, so it allows you to get a good grasp on the knife. You also have jimping down here in this little, I guess that would be a choil, which really allows a good hold on the knife when you're getting in and doing some detail work. One of my favorite knives of all time, the Kershaw kin onion Leek. I did mention with this knife that, you know, the MSRP is in the $70 range. The reason why it's on the list though is you can find them on Blade HQ for 40 bucks. And then you can also go over to Amazon, and I'll have links to all of these down in the description below. But you can get this knife, you know, with this steel, all this stuff, for $42 off of Amazon. Now some of the different formulations of this knife, like they have a black wash version of it, it's also $43. You can get a partially serrated, one that's very similar to this, that's partially serrated, for $34. I like this knife a lot. It's super lightweight, so easy to pocket carry. You can carry it with dress pants. Just a really nice, versatile, all-around knife, and I like it. Next up is a knife that is new to me. This is the CRKT Crossbones. It's new to me, but I have been eyeballing this knife for a very, very long time. MSRP on this knife is 100 bucks. Certain places, Blade HQ, for example, you're going to pay around 65, 70 bucks for it. Amazon though, Amazon, 50 bucks. So that's how it makes it onto the list. One thing about this knife, the pocket clip is not adjustable. Sorry everybody who likes adjustable pocket clips. It's like a little kind of lanyard spot. I don't think I'd ever lanyard anything through there. Really smooth opening knife. It is a liner lock, as you can see right here. I've always liked the design of this knife. I've always thought it looked beautiful, but I've never pulled the trigger on it. I actually got this one in a battle box recently, and I was stoked that I got it. It's an aluminum handle. It's got some texturing on it. It just feels good in the hand. It looks sleek. It's kind of like a two-tone coloring on it. The weight on this knife is super light, 2.4 ounces. Your handle length is about 4.5 inches. Your blade length is about 3.5 inches. Overall, 8-inch length. The steel on this knife is a steel that CRKT uses for quite a few of their production knives. Yeah, see, it's a little bit dirty. I've been using it. Anyways, the steel is the AUS 8 steel. So AUS 8, you know, nothing super fancy like most of these production knives. This is kind of like a trailing point style blade. I like this knife. I've been using it quite a bit. Pretty solid deployment. And you got jimping on the back of the spine right up here, so good grip on it. It's a nice smooth knife. The video isn't really going to do this one justice, I don't think. I've been really pleased with it. You carry this for a day, guarantee it's going to grow on you. It's just such a fun knife. Alright, it's hard to put this one down because I enjoy it so much, but we've got to move on. We're going to move on to one of the least expensive knives on the list. One of the cool ones too. So let's check out the Byrd Cara 2. This is a SpyderCo design knife. I've had this knife for a long damn time. One of the first, when I really got into knives, this was probably like the third knife I bought. It was pretty cheap, you know what I mean? So this knife is a SpyderCo design. I believe SpyderCo and Byrd have a relationship when it comes to this knife. Byrd makes it, it's made in China, but SpyderCo, I believe, imports it, and it is a SpyderCo design knife. Maybe Byrd handles some of their low-end knives, I don't know. I like this knife a lot. It's really done a good job for me. It's simple, but I like it. I love how it feels in the hand. It's just a good, cheap knife. It's $20, $22, depending on where you look. I think Amazon is $22. I think it's a little bit cheaper at Blade HQ. But this one comes in a lot of different forms as well. I mean, you could get a G10 grip on this. This grip right here on the cheaper version, the version I have, is a fiberglass reinforced nylon, so FRN handle. It's black, but I think there are some other color options that you can get. It's got this, what they call bi-directional texturing on it, and it makes for great grip. Seriously, great grip on this knife. It's really grippy. Some people might find it, if you have soft, girly hands, you might find it a little rough on the hands, maybe. I don't know. It is not an assisted opening, but it opens super easy by putting your finger in the cutout right there. You know, SpyderCo is pretty famous for having cutouts, and this knife is no different. It is a lockback, so your locking mechanism is internal, and your release on it is right here. So there you go. See, as the blade opens, this lifts up, locks into place. Never had any issues at all with this knife wanting to come unlocked. That lockback is pretty darn solid. For those of you who like, you know, a lot of options with your pocket clips, you have like 4 different ways that you can hook this bad boy up. You can carry tip up, tip down, either side. So pretty neat in that regard. I love how this thing holds in the hand. There is some, it's almost texturing, it's not jimping really, but texturing on the frame itself right here along the lockback, which allows a great little grip right here like this. There's also texturing right up here on the spine, and it allows you to really get in and grip up on this knife. There's a choil with jimping in it right here, so between the jimping on the spine, the jimping in the choil, you can really get in there, choke up on this knife, or you can use it like this. There's just a lot of different comfortable ways to hold this knife. That is why I like it so much. That, and it's 20 bucks. I mean, in my opinion, this is one of the better knives out there for 20 bucks. This is just a good, solid $20 knife. All right, so let's talk about the blade a little bit. As you can see, it's a little smudged up right now. Oh, well. The blade length is 3 3/4 inches, but that choil factors into the overall length. So your cutting edge is like 3 inches, maybe a little bit longer. Blade material, again, cheap knife, so you're going to get cheaper, less expensive blade material. 8 CR13 MOV, and it's kind of basically, I guess this would be a drop point. So again, it is not an assisted opening blade, but it's extremely easy to open, one-handed, just thumb in and boom, super simple, nice and smooth. and I really like it. If you live in a locale where you can't have an assisted opening knife or anything like that, this could be a good option for you. I just think this is a good solid knife to have in your collection. If you want a good beater knife, I mean, here you go, you're looking at it. So we're going to move on from the SpyderCo designed Byrd Cara 2, and we're going to go on to a knife that I carried a lot, and that knife is right here. This is a great little knife. This is the CRKT Swindle, and it is another Canonian design. It looks kind of funky. There's a lot of funky stuff going on here, okay? Here it is folded up. Now for me, when I first got it, I looked at it folded and I was like, why isn't the flipper here? You know, it just seemed like the blade would deploy from there, but it doesn't. It deploys from right there. And the handle, I don't know, it just seems kind of counterintuitive in a way, but there's a lot of really cool stuff. This is one of the smoothest opening knives that is not assisted that you're gonna find. It does have a flipper, and that is your way of opening it, but that's not assisted. There's not a spring in there. This knife utilizes CRKT's IKBS. So the IKBS technology is CRKT's ball bearing systems. In the pivot area right here, you basically have a lubed bearing system in here, and it really is one of the smoothest opening, non-assisted opening knives that you're going to come across. It just flips open so fast and easy and smooth. Once you get just a little bit of energy on that flipper, it just sends it. I mean, that's freaking awesome. I really like this knife. I like the design of this knife. There's some funky things about it. Here's the frame lock, and that's a really kind of pretty interesting frame lock. I know that seems weird, that I think that's interesting, but the fact that the cutout goes so far back, I like it. There is some slight jimping right on the inside, so really easy to pop that guy open. I think it's really slick. Oh gosh, I can't get over how easily this knife deploys. One thing that's interesting about this that you don't see on too many knives is the clip. And this is a tensioned pocket clip right here. And originally I didn't think I was gonna like it. I didn't know how it would fit in with my in my pants. But it fit well. It didn't feel weird. I like that quite a bit. It just slides right in. You know, you kind of have to lift it a little bit, but that's why they have that stud right there that's textured. It opens up really easy. Holds in there pretty well too. It just seemed really weird when I first got it that's how it opened, because the handle kind of, it sweeps back. So you almost expect the blade to come from the other direction. But because of that sweep back in the handle, I think it makes a really cool overall like design on the knife. And it holds very well. This knife is one of my favorite to hold in the hand. Nice smooth handles. It's got a choil right here you can really suck up on. It's got some jimping on the spine, and it's really subtle jimping, but it's enough that you can get in there and really grab hold of it. Now it also has jimping right here on the butt of the knife, kind of like the back end, and that allows, this is going to sound weird, but allows a really good grip because it grips right here in the meat of your palm. I mean, you could just hold this knife, no worries about it falling out of your hand. Feels great. Get ready to cut some tomatoes and onions and open boxes or whatever you do with your EDC knives. Great little letter opener. The blade is a Wharncliffe, and I like that on this knife. I think a Wharncliffe versus a drop point, the Wharncliffe is the way to go on this, in this handle. in a well-designed knife, that blade style plays off the handle usually, and I think this is no exception. I think this is a great example of that, actually, how this just flows and back up and then down. I think that if it wasn't a Wharncliffe, I think that this knife wouldn't be as cool to me, personally. Now, you can get this in a grooved handle that's really slick as well. Costs a little bit more. And that grooved handle, it's going to be just above our $50 mark, about $54 on Amazon. But the smooth handle, it comes well under our mark, and it's $35. Now, I believe I did a full review on this knife on the channel a while ago. But let me tell you really quick about some of the components before we say goodbye to the CRKT Swindle. Blade material is 8CR14 MOV, and it is a Wharncliffe, as I mentioned before. The blade length is 3 1/4 inches. The overall length is 7 1/2 inches. The handle, you know, it's a 4-inch handle or so. 3 1/2 ounces, basically. Handle material on this is stainless steel. It's got this really nice kind of brushed satin almost, so it's like a dark gray almost with a green hue to it. It's nice. I like it. It's nice and smooth. Made in China. It's Ken Onion design. CRKT, the Swindle. I think that this is one of the best gentleman's knives you can find for under $50. I really think that. It's light enough that you can wear it with dress pants. If you're a businessman, it is nice. It's just a nice little under $50 knife. So many things about it that I like. Primarily that. I mean, that is a smooth opening knife. One that's fun to play with and carry. So here they all are again. Links, like I mentioned before, are all down in the description. I'll have some Amazon links where if you guys are interested, you can purchase these knives. If you do purchase them from those links, they're affiliate links, so they help the channel. You know, it doesn't cost anything extra to you if you purchased one of these knives from those links, but I get a little bit of a cut. It's like 4%, so a few pennies here and there. Everything adds up, though. I do appreciate it when you guys do use those links. So, the Kershaw Asset, no longer in production. Great knife. If you can find one somewhere, pick one up. They're a nice little knife to handle. The Ken Onion Leek from Kershaw, one of my favorite all-time EDC gentleman knives. The Crossbones, the newest of the collection, which I like quite a bit. I think it's just a sleek, nice design. The SpyderCo designed Byrd Cara 2, just a workhorse. Out of this group, this is the workhorse knife, a knife that like I mentioned before, I thoroughly enjoy. Possibly my favorite out of this list for a variety of reasons, because I think it is the best overall, coolest design. This CRKT Swindle, another Ken Onion design. And I really thoroughly enjoy this knife. I encourage you guys to check that knife out if you're ever around it. Mess with it, flip it open, see how smooth the IKBS bearing system is that CRKT employs in the pivot there. Really nice knife. Alright guys, that is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really enjoyed playing with these knives and chatting with you guys about my 5 favorite folders under $50. Whew. If you guys have any questions about any of these knives, if you have a knife that you think should be on the list that wasn't on my list, let me know. There's a couple of knives that I really like that should have been on this list. The Kershaw Half Ton is a great knife. And there's a ton of others. I want to hear in the comment section down below, what do you think the list should look like? If you have any questions about the individual knives or anything like that, let me know. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that thumbs up button. If you like this style of video, I know it's a lot of handwork and zoomed in stuff. Some of y'all don't like that. Some of you do. I think for this type of thing, it made sense. Okay, I'm going to shut up now. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for getting out west with Chris.